So, hello again. Um, Welcome to day 32 of my leukemia journey. I'm Ken Kinter. Today was a big day at the hospital in more than one way. Um, and we're going to talk about a couple things that are pretty significant regarding treatment and a couple of hazards that you may come across. Now, I only have one experience with this so far, but one thing that is a pretty consistent hassle is um, working through the clinic requires a lot of coordination from a lot of different departments. So what happens is if you're going back to the hospital for clinic appointments, you've got different departments going on different days. So you may recall that, I was discharged from the hospital on a Thursday after having three different treatment plans, and then right back in the clinic the next day on Friday. And then I was doing 3 days a week. And then there was a week where I didn't go, half of one week, half of the next, where I didn't go at all. So there's a certain element of chaos that comes into this. Um, and some of this is because the hospital has different departments. For example, spinal punctures and things like the port, which I got today, success, come from another department, which I keep calling invasive radiology, and it's not invasive radiology, it is radiology. So you end up going, so this week I'm going Thursday, Friday, and I hate not having days off, especially because I think I'm going to be there every day next week for chemo round two. But so, so that's a challenge. So a frustration for sure for patients, and a frustration for sure for caregivers who have to completely revamp their schedule. And we revamp the schedule every day. I was on for Tuesday, not on Tuesday, on for Wednesday. On for Wednesday, nope, on for Thursday. And today was an all day um, because my wife had commitments, work commitments, and her job has been very flexible with her. But when you schedule a training, you have to do it. So she did two trainings today from the parking lot, one in the morning and one in the evening. And I was there at the hospital for both of them because of craziness at the hospital. So that is a hazard. And I'm sure that's not unique to where I'm going. Now, some of the reason that things get rescheduled are blood work. I tried to have a port put in before, as you recall, and I did not have sufficient platelets for it. That is not the hospital's fault. That's my fault. Or that's not even my fault. That's just my health and how the blood work numbers come up. But this chaos happens, and then you end up having these really long days, or you end up going on consecutive days, or you end up with some wacky schedule like Thursday, Friday. And it's really, really, really hard. So um, today was today was the worst day. Today was the worst day at the hospital since inpatient for sure. Um, I've become a real complicated draw because all my veins are blown up. I'm sure you can't see the colors, but I think the back of my left hand looks like a stained glass window. It's got lots of pretty colors in it that it normally doesn't have. And the rest of me looks pretty, the rest of my arms look pretty much the same way. Um, so that was necessitated the port being put in. But, and I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. That is prone to happening. So today I went in, had the draw done, which was stressful all by itself because my veins are rolling and I've lost a lot of weight and I'm not a good draw anymore. So every draw is a big deal. Again, thank God for the port. Get drawn, blood values were good. Um, they COVID tested me again. Urine tested me for the first time since I was out of the hospital. Who knows why? I'm going to test positive for everything. They got me on everything. So we do that. Um, Meanwhile, Pete just doing a training in the car. And at one point, I was so wiped out that I just got in the car and fell asleep next to her while she was doing the training. So she's in the driver's seat with picture this, a Prius. She's got a laptop on her lap. She's got a laptop on the center console, which is this big in a Prius. And I'm in the passenger seat. I'm still around 213, down from 250. laid out in the passenger seat, snoring away, hat over my face. Um, but that helped put me together. I had the worst sinus headache today. I mean, a ripping headache. They say blame everything on chemo, but this was a good old fashioned sinus headache right across here and right into the ears, which is how I'm guessing it was a sinus headache. Could I still blame the chemo? Yes, it's been a long time since I've had a sinus headache. Um, but unbearable, like 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. I debated leaving 1,000 times. I thought I was going to fall on the floor a couple times. I almost vomited a couple times, and that's despite fasting. So I'm fasting at midnight for a 1:30 p.m. Port placement, and of course the blood works fasting as well. So, and stay tuned to that time frame. So midnight Wednesday, I stop eating. Um, and then there's all sorts of chaos and craziness. I'm sitting in the waiting room for hours, about as uncomfortable as I've ever been. Just waiting, like half of me asking for PJ to take me home to see if I could sleep this thing off. But I've got an IV in, I've got this port scheduled. It's already failed once. Like, you just feel too far in to back out. And so they call me down 1:30 ish, probably closer to 2. I get down there, get down to radiology, 3, 4, 4:30. Peach has another training at 5. This was a 1:30 appointment. 1:30, 2 hours, boom, we're out of here. We got plenty of time to get home. 4:25, I'm not even there yet. I asked one of the staff to go talk to my wife to tell her I was okay, because at the time that I went down to radiology and they took me from the waiting area where she was, I mean, I was just holding on to my head. I couldn't talk to her. I couldn't look at her. Everything hurt about my head, and every bit of stimuli was unwelcome. Every light, every sound, everything. And if anybody's trying to help, all you want them to do is go away. Um, so I was in terrible, 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 terrible shape. And so then I get to sit down and sit on the stretcher for 2 hours and watch Kelly Clarkson's show. So the good news is that while that was going on, the headache moved or passed, or at least wasn't as severe. So I put it together again while I was down there. And again, I'm sitting down there for 2.5 hours before this thing starts. And I guess there were critical patients coming in front of me. There were stats coming in front of me because they would come in, put them in back, come in, put them in back, come in, put them in back. And I sat there. I think 5 or 6 people went through while I was sitting there, just that I was aware of. And I wasn't extremely aware because most of the time I was just breathing, trying to get my headache to go down. Paige made the correct point that, look, dude, you've got a headache. They're going to give you fentanyl, and they're going to give you something else for said, and that's going to get rid of your headache. I mean, it's kind of like treating a mosquito with a sledgehammer. But I was like, I'll take it. I'll take it. I don't care. I'll take anything at this point. So, and I'm sure part of it was, okay, so now I'm fasting from midnight to 4:30 p.m. and that's nothing. No water, no anything. I managed to get some ice chips off of them. I gave them a all of 3-ounce urine sample. That was all I had the entire day because nothing in, nothing out. So get the procedure done. The procedure was no big deal at all. Much like the spinal puncture, it sounds really frightening and sounds really scary. It's starting to ache a little bit now because I'm sure everything's wearing off, but it was a picnic compared to the headache that I dealt with all day. But we were also at the hospital at 9, admittedly early because we had to get Paige set up. And we didn't leave there until 6:30 or 7 at night. And we're going back tomorrow at 8 in the morning. So this is the kind of schedule shit that I think is, it's not unique to anywhere, I'm sure. This is just, the more departments and the more people you have involved, the more craziness there is. But the long story short was my blood work was good. What we went there to do, we got done after a nearly 2-week delay. And we're back on course again for round 2 of chemo next week. And I never have to worry about being drawn, or everything just goes in and out through the port, which I'm hoping will be a little less tender tomorrow. But That's how that's going to work. And it is just turning 10 o'clock now, and PJ and I are done. We're going to bed. It was the whole day. We watched a movie while we grabbed some pizza on the way home because again I hadn't eaten, and grabbed some pizza on the way home, watched a movie, and that's that. In part because we have to wake up so stupid early, but in part just because we're friggin' done. Um, so I think that's a nice illustration. Not all days go like this, but the day-to-day rescheduling happens. They say you're going to be done at a certain time and you're not. When you're walking in, you don't know when you're walking out. And those are some serious frustrations because these are stressful days. My 2 days, the way I see it now, are hospital days and days off. Those are the two kind of days I have. So I had a long hospital day today, brutal hospital day today, part of which was the headache, not their fault. Tomorrow is going to be allegedly a light hospital day, but it's still a hospital day. And then I get 2 days off, and then I probably have a bunch of days on. But that's how the show moves forward. So I really struggled with my courage today. Wanted to walk out 100 times, wanted to back out of this 100 times, and just didn't. I couldn't even give you a really clear opinion of why I didn't. Just didn't. Kept focus on the fight, kept focus on getting my life back, kept the focus on just do the next thing, do the next thing, do the next thing. It's not even one day at a time, it's one procedure at a time. You just do an infinite number of procedures and somehow you're done. You come out the other side. I know it doesn't work that way, but that's kind of how that's going. So anyway, I'm sore. I'm tired. I got my ass kicked. I'm hoping I don't get my ass kicked again tomorrow, but even if they do, I get 2 days off after that to heal. And I can't help but think about my new friend, which I'll show at a later date. And I'm not even touching it now because it hurts. Um, uh, I'm hoping my new little friend will let me get my arms and my hands and my wrists back, which I desperately want. So, not that I'm thrilled about having this little piece of plastic sitting inside of me, but necessary evil, I guess. So we'll go more into the port on a later day when it's feeling a little better. But anyway, you have yourself a good one. Thanks for being this far on the journey with me. It was still I didn't even get back to the people who reached out to me today, but I'll fix that over the weekend. But anyway, you guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you tomorrow night with hopefully a nice, boring report, but it'll be another hospital report. So there's usually something exciting going on. Catch you tomorrow. Bye bye.